Welcome to Positive Moments with Andrew and Don.
Let everything go.
That was such a life-changing experience.
It's a way of life, it's a way of being, it's a way of thinking, it is mind management.
It inspires me to know that there's more to learn every single day. Welcome to Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. This is episode number 7. We've had a wonderful time in 1 to 6, and no doubt for 7. 7 is also the number of completion. But really and truly, it's not complete until we get the full story. And today is going to be another story. Today we're talking about positive transformation. And that positive transformation, or being able to make that transition in our nation, is what we're about, especially for our young people. I say what we're about, which means we have a guest on Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. And that person is none other than Akosua Dardane Edwards. Akosua has been working not for, but with, should I say, with the St. Jude's Home for Girls. And she is helping girls make the transition from the home into society. Akosua, welcome to Positive Moments with Andrew and Don.
Thank you, Don. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate the opportunity to share stories.
Wow. Well, certainly we have a lot of stories here. You know, we talk actually, it's story time. But there's some real situations happening outside there that some of us may not be aware of. And this program today is going to help us understand what happens at St. Jude's Girls and how these girls are able to make that transition. But before we begin and get into the St. Jude's home, what we want to get at home with is to find out, what do you really do? Because I looked at your bio and I see so many things. So I have to try and bring that in as briefly as I can, so at least for the benefit of our audience. So what do you do? Who is Akosua?
So, Akosua is an author. Actually, my third book was dropped this month, March. It's called Now What? And my other 2 books, What Did I Learn Today? Lessons on the Journey to Unconditional Self-Love. And the other one is called Madam, Why Are You Here? I also founded the Nina Young Women's Leadership Program. And that is the program that we will be talking about today. It focuses on building young leaders and leaders within themselves first. And the focus of the program is to support young ladies in transition from state care, which, for example, is St. Jude's Home for Girls, is one of the homes that the state runs, and for other young ladies in transition. So it could be young ladies in school who are transitioning from situations at home or have to leave their home. And as part of that program, we are also in schools using entrepreneurship as an empowerment vehicle. I also work throughout the world with rural communities, particularly with women in rural communities. A lot of times the women are left to rebuild their communities after civil war, natural disasters, etc. And I am extremely privileged to be asked to come in and support these ladies as they rebuild their communities.
You know, this platform, thanks to Republic Bank, has been created not to show off people or for people to show off on, because when I look at the word show off, you end up going off. We don't want to have any off going on here. We want to be showcasing. We've created this platform so we can showcase people across the world on Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. Creating a platform for information, motivation, and positivity. You know, I believe there'll be a large population of Trinidad and Tobago that haven't heard the name St. Jude's Home. But really to understand what goes down there, who goes there, who can go there, what we can do there, why it's so important for our society, is what we are trying to showcase here, as well as celebrating you. And I want to celebrate you for all that you do and have done, because you have committed, you'll know how much, but a piece of your life to helping other people. This takes a lot, you know, and I believe we should always specialize in our gifts. And for the love and passion that you have been showing towards the St. Jude's Home and many other aspects of your life, you're clearly, in my opinion, following your gifts, your God-given specialities. Not sure the word is specialities or specialties, but I like specialities because it just sounds different. That by itself sounds different. Taking specialities. But really and truly, thank you, for being an example, because I also want to commit the rest of my life to helping people. I believe it is something that I can do. I really do believe it's something we can all do, but we all have a specialty that we can, help in. So tell us a little bit more about, the St. Jude's Home and who can go there and how people can get there and just the whole world inside it so people can know, because maybe someone who sees this here today will say, you know what, either I want to help or maybe I need to go.
Well, as part of the NINA program, the foundation, we look for young women who are in transition, and the St. Jude's Home for Girls is one of the few that allows for housing of young ladies under the care of the state. And so it felt like a natural fit to work with the St. Jude's Home for Girls, and I want to thank them for me being able to work with them, because they have a lot of offers to support them and to work with them. So I really want to say thank you to them for the opportunity to work in partnership. What happens and why we use the young woman coming out of the home is, you go into St. Jude's for different reasons. They house young ladies and girls who are left by their parents as orphans, and they transition there as they grow older. They are also girls who are sent there by the court because they are beyond control by their parents. Beyond control means, they're behaving bad. And the parents says, okay, I can't deal with you anymore. So they are sent there. Then there are young ladies who are under 18 and on remand from the court. They also are housed there. And then there are others who have nowhere to go. They have a few migrants who have nowhere to go and under 18. So it's a mesh. But what we at the NINA program have seen in being involved with the home is, at 18, the day you turn 18, you're an adult by the law. So the state is no longer your parent. And if it is you came from a place of having no parents from birth, where do you go if you have no friends or etc.? And we looked at that and we said, oh my God, this is a situation that maybe we can get involved in, because sometimes the choices that they make upon leaving, they just feel alone. They feel limited in the support that they have. And we've stepped in to say, we will do our best to support you and to give you that sense of safe space that you can now transition into mainstream society and not feel that you are doing it alone.
What are some of the immediate needs they have? So one is shelter. I mean, it goes back to the basic needs that someone would need.
Absolutely.
So they need shelter. Of course, they have to have clothing.
Yes.
They need to have food.
Yes.
How is that done? Because it's very difficult to just expect them to come out and then survive. I mean, do they go on the street? And then the young girls too, so they become prey to sometimes certain trades that we still have going on, that some people close a kind of blind eye to.
Yeah.
That's real.
That's real.
It's
So we want to
real.
try and get them in a safe place, and more importantly, in a place, not sometimes a physical place, but a mental place, because
Yeah.
a man is first caged in his mind before he's caged. So, and you want to get them in a space where they know that I have value,
Yes.
if I'm understanding correctly, that I have some value, and that value can actually be a benefit to society. And of course, it's not what happens, but what I choose to do about what happens.
Yeah.
You would have spoken about choices as well too.
Yes.
And some of them, whilst they would have made certain choices that had a particular consequence, some of them, because of the lack of choices or the incorrect choices made by others, has resulted in them being in that space, in that. So talk to us about that transition. What are some of the needs that they have, and how are those needs being immediately met? Because as you turn 18, 18 is 18, and by law, does the home put you out the same day? How does that work?
Well, I must say over time it has improved their transition from the home into society. But yes, the needs are there. Most times there's need for a place to live, a safe space to live. There's need for a job. There's need for love, really, for support, for the ability to have fun, the ability to not worry about where my next meal is coming from, the ability, there's a need for just somebody saying, you are loved, you are valued. And put that together with the basic needs. That is what is required. And we at the Nina program, we do our best to first of all say you have a safe space, you are supported, but it's difficult all the time to find jobs and a place for them to stay because those things cost money.
Well, if I'm hearing correctly, society has a major role to play in making sure this becomes effective, because you're going and you're doing your work, then where to? Are we going to welcome them? Is society, in your estimation, doing sufficient to welcome these girls back in, to help them to say, well, hey, what, you've made a mistake? And for somebody listening, as I always say, that word mistake, if you take the M out, there is something you could take from every mistake, but none of these girls are a mistake. Every certain one of these girls, that M means they have a mission, right? They're able to move, and they're able to, to be all that they could be. They have a place in society.
Yeah, I think what we've seen is society has now taken a different stance since the pandemic. They have seemed to be more purposeful in their actions with reference to supporting others. And I've seen that difference. We kick-started our Choices program in December of last year, where we look at sharing with the young ladies, choices have consequences. And these are the tools that you need to have to make better choices. So we have different themes: choices on money, choices on relationships, choices on career, choices on sex, choices on the power of your thoughts. And when we launched that series, the village expanded. People came and they said, what can I do? Can I come and share with the girls what my story was, how I, as a teenage mother, became a university professor and lived a life of service? How can I use my power of doing yoga? And they came in and they gave that support. So the girls see in other women that they can overcome certain circumstances. We also were able to secure a small grant from UN Women to do this series from January to April. So society from that angle has been very receptive. On the other hand, we have a society where if you don't have certain things, you are on the fringes. So if you don't have 5 subjects, you are on the fringes. If you don't have a certain address on your resume, you're on the fringes. If you don't look a certain way, you're on the fringes. And I think this is where society can now level up, because there are some people, just based on their circumstances, they are unable to have 5 subjects. And a lot of times those young ladies, they want to go to school, but based on the circumstances, they can't. So they reach the 18, they now have to start over and start getting the subjects. But in that gap, what do they do? And there, I mean, and there are many programs that they can do, but just to make the point that judging people on what you have and you don't have is something that society, I am saying that society can now look at and see that that doesn't help everything. And it really came to bear within this pandemic period.
You know, I have a theory of mine, and I'm going to test it and prove it throughout my years to come. But I believe the more still a place of human beings is the more opportunity for creation and creativity. Look at the prefrontal cortex in the brain. The front part here is our creativity area. If the brain is too busy, full of everything, we become less creative. So we talk about stillness. One of the places that have a lot of stillness is jail. A lot of negativity, but a lot of opportunity for positivity. There are a lot of homes with empty feeling human beings, full of positivity and opportunity. When we look at that, we consistently hear all the time, left and center, I don't have time for this, I don't have time for that. Well, I'm here to tell you all that there are people out there who have time. It's important for continue the work that you all are doing and continue the work that many people who play a role in society to look for the stillness. Because I just say this, there are two places that have the most curiosity in the world. The graveyard, I'm sorry that is parked up, and stillness. Jails, homes, sometimes on the corner, stillness.
You know, Andres, you talk about time. Time, T-I-M-E, is to improve my existence or to improve my education. And a lot of people having the time but not sure what to do, not to do with the time. Time is really T-I backwards is it. Time is it and me. So where have I met it or it met me? And there are a lot of young girls there, their time there over the years, you want that time to mean something. And certainly when I hear about the girls and having interacted with some of the young ladies at St. Jude's, for example, when I bring them out to programs, I would have had certain Republic Bank sponsored programs that they would have been a part of. And when they get into the programs, the other girls say, but you know, only after we realized that girl was a St. Jude's, but she was just as normal. But she was just, and then you realize, but all of us are normal, you know, but they need a place to fit in. And I'm sure the work that you're doing is to help them fit in. And the challenges our young ladies face here, based on your travels, because you have had a bit of travels, is it the same challenges other young people elsewhere are facing? Because sometimes we think it's just us alone. It's just, is it other challenges based on your experiences? What are some of the challenges some of the young girls are experiencing outside there in the world?
Yeah, it's really the same thing. Really, we are all so connected, and there's the challenges of feeling as if you're not enough. The challenges of feeling doubt, self-doubt, whether I can do this. The challenges of if anybody loves me. You know, if you come from a place where you don't have the family that we promote on TV, and you know the traditional family, there's a challenge of feeling, am I loved and supported? And that goes through every country, everywhere. And one of the great things about bringing other women in a circle to talk to the young girls at the Nina program is they get to share their stories, and they get to hear, well, I felt full of self-doubt. I felt not enough. I felt like I couldn't do this. And look where I am now. And so we all have those feelings. And one of the things that they've learned is there are people who go through tears just like they do, and people who go through triumphs just like they do. And their triumphs and tears would come from different places. So it's so important for us to to have a safe space for them to hear other people's stories. So when the women come in who have transitioned and overcome their circumstance and they come to speak to the young ladies, they also get something because they are seeing themselves through the eyes, of these young ladies. And the young ladies get to see, oh my God, I could be in a different space from where I am now. I can strive towards this. You did it, and you were in the same situation as I was. And one of the best things that we've done is bring back in the young ladies who graduated from the NINA program, who managed to go on to university, to come back and mentor them. So they're close in age, so they get to speak a different language. They're exposed, and they get to see, oh my God, I can do this. I can make new friends. I can get my subjects, or I can open a business. So that worked really, really well because we mix everybody. We have the students from the schools, the students from St. Jude, just as you mentioned, and we have everybody in the circle. So they get to see that families have issues as well. It's not like what they see on TV is a perfect Cosby show or whatever it is.
Which wasn't so perfect after all.
Exactly. Right? So they get
They become relatable.
Yes, they get to
find that
they get to
place.
see.
I could feel it. I'm
Exactly.
here. I'm not alone.
Exactly.
And I love that. I love that because we all want the same thing. We all want to feel like we exist here for a reason, and we have to be able to relate to feel that. Yeah. If all day long I'm feeling like it's just me here alone, no matter how good you are at something, I believe that will cause a lot of lack of worth feelings to come. But I want to ask you a unique question here. It's one of my favorite questions these days. What are you good at? You just good at it. You don't have to try. You just get up in the morning, go right now, you just could do it. What are you good at?
That's a difficult question. I
Shouldn't
think I'm good at everything I do, but I am good at finding solutions.
That is what I'm looking for. So good at finding solutions. And I asked you this question because I believe everybody has something they're good at. And I'm getting a similar answer to how you started. Sometimes it's a little fear, sometimes a little pressure, because it's a big question. But it is one of the realest questions that exist because it's part of your calling. I believe that. When we ask human beings what are they good at, you shouldn't have to think it. It's your heart will tell you. When I do this, not saying you don't have challenges. Challenges will exist in everything we do. As a matter of fact, I used to think that I want to get rid of fear. I want to become fearless. I tried. But I realized that fear is the biggest blessing. But it's a separation. There is living in fear and living with fear. Living in fear, you are just fearful of everything and attached to it. Living with it is every time I want to get a little bit better in my sailing or challenge something, like every Olympic trials that comes around, there is fear. But it's the ability to go and do it. Don't take it over.
I have to do something with the word fear, And interestingly, for those of you who are experiencing fear, I would say on one hat, I'd say, God hasn't given you a spirit of fear. But I'll also say as well, that word fear, many would know, is false evidence appearing real. But more importantly, for every action, there's a reaction. And let me tell you how to react to fear. When you get fear, you get rid of the E. Everybody and everything. And you realize when you get the E out of fear, you could get far. You can get far. This lady has certainly gotten far. And I think what has gotten you far is that knowing that, yes, the fear exists for the girls as well, but knowing you would have to overcome some of your own fears and actually to be able, you lived abroad for a while, you lived in London, As a matter of fact, Andrew, she's been on TED Talks. You have to tell us what that TED Talks was about, you know. But interestingly, she started, and you've been to Africa as well, too.
I live there.
And one of the questions she got in Africa, I'm not sure if it was actually in Africa, but one of the questions you had to face was, who are you? And if you could just talk to that a little bit, because when I heard you heard you on TED Talks, and I heard your answer to who are you? Who is Akosua Darden Edwards? That was so interesting because you found out who, well, you're supposed to be. If you could just talk us through that a little bit. So let me just say welcome to, well, it's not TED Talks, Andrew. It's Positive Moments with Andrew and Don, with someone who's been on TED Talks. So let me let you talk.
So I was asked that question, who are you? And it seems like such a simple question. I had the opportunity to live in East Africa, and I was based in Uganda at that time. I was running away from Trinidad and Tobago. I thought that Trinidad and Tobago was against me. That's the mindset I had. Everything that I felt that I deserved, I felt Trinidad was taking it away from me. I did not realize that there are consequences to your choices. And so I was on this path of just acquiring things and acquiring degrees and acquiring material possessions and just really focusing on myself, growing with the belief that if I had so much things and so much friends and so much of everything big that I would be a success. And I always felt that I had to keep up with that. I always felt that, okay, I bought this car. I had this dream that I would be the youngest finance director and be on a lot of boards and live on a hill in Maraval with a particular car and a particular type of guy. I would marry this smart, good-looking, dark, handsome man, and we'll live happily ever after in Maraval on this hill and have 2 children. So I was going towards that without a thought of anything about purpose or without a thought of spiritual grounding. It was just ego. And I would just revel in people telling me, oh, you're so young and successful. And when they told me that, I would feel good, and then I walk away and feel like a fake because I was struggling to keep up with just acquiring and being. And so one day I just said, what is this? You know, what am I here for? What is it? And I kid you not, I got fired. I lost everything. I lost the house on the hill. I lost the husband that I, dreamt of. I lost everything material and the things that I thought made me a success. And I thought I was going to lose my mind because, of course, there was no spiritual grounding. And, of course, I was saved by that same force, the source of all things, God. I was saved in the sense that I was living in London before I came to Trinidad, and they called me and they said, we want you to go to a meeting in Canada. And when I went to Canada, I met this woman from Uganda. That was the point where I just lost everything, right? So I'm in Canada, and this woman is talking to me from Uganda about they just came out of a 27-year civil war, and 901 women have been left in this village. And if I can relate to that, I'm like, no, you're talking to me, and right now I'm just thinking about where I'm going to live and all of that, right? Or, what are you talking about? And she kept on this story, and I said, this woman is courageous. I mean, you are rebuilding our village. I said, okay, I will come. How long did it take you to get to Canada? She said, about 35 hours flying. I said, well, that's far from Trinidad. I will leave because I'm now blaming Trinidad for, how can you fire me? And she said, it's going to change your life. You will never be the same after that. Whatever. My life has already changed. And I jumped on that plane and I spent years in Uganda. rebuilding the village. But to answer your question, the first 8 days I was there, I was an accountant, right? So they told me I need to go to this village and talk about how we're going to spend this money that we're going to make, because we're building a business, we're building the village. And I got there and I'm not dressed for the occasion because we're outdoors and I'm in my little accounting suit. And they're looking at me like, what? And I'm with my PowerPoint projector and they're like, what are you doing? And they're in a circle and you cannot enter the circle until you say who you are. And it's my turn to enter the circle. And they said, Madam Akosua, who are you? And I stood there and I said, I'm a Akosua from Trinidad and I went to this university in the UK, London, and I did my MBA and la 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 la. And they closed the circle and didn't let me in. And the woman who was allowing you into the circle, she said, who are you? And I said the same thing, like, is it my accent? What? And they closed the circle more. And she said, you don't know who you are. You cannot enter this circle. And I was stunned. And she said, go over there, sit down. We will wait while you figure out who you are. So they put me in a naughty corner. So I'm in a naughty corner, and it gave me the opportunity to now reflect. And I started, the ugly cry, because I just left Trinidad with all the things that happened, and I said I would go there, lay low, and come back. And I sat there and I started crying, and they just waited. And I said, you know what? Time is passing. It was an hour and a half I was there in the corner crying, my eyes
Circle
out.
closed.
Circle closing. So I sat there and I said, who are you with all these things? Who are you without the titles? Who are you? And I kept writing, I am Akosua, I am Akosua, and I couldn't come up with anything. And I said, so am I nothing without a thing? And I sat there and I ended up writing, I am Akosua. My grandmother calls me Yaki. I am from the source of all things. I am divine, courageous, patient, and compassionate. And in the end, I wrote, I am love and I'm here in service. And the circle opened. And she said to me, Madam Akosua, all of those things that you own and you have says something about you. It says you're disciplined, you're committed, but it can never be who you are. And once you know who you are, you will always be fine. You have to come from a space of knowing who you are in every situation. And she gave me a hug, and I just felt light, because now I know if I have nothing, that I will be fine. I know who I am, and they let me in the circle.
Wow. You know what's so powerful about that is that having that experience, when we go through stuff, is to help other people get through stuff.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're coming back and affecting our young ladies where they need it the most, where they need that help and that support. Yeah. I mean, I believe there's no coincidence there. I believe that the work that you have been doing, I mean, I know the program, we wish we could talk for all, but I know that the work that you're doing is making a difference only because of what you've been through, and we're almost ready to close the program, but I just want to challenge you a little bit. What would you say in your journey thus far? Because it's still a journey, and we're trusting that you have many more young people, and people in general get to benefit from that journey. What would you say has been the most rewarding thing? Or as we say on Positive Moments, what has been the most positive experience, positive moment that you've experienced and you'd love to continue to experience as based on what you do?
Ooh. There's so many, but I think two things stands out. Overcoming the fear of coming back here with nothing but me, and being able to sit right here now and talk about it. And the second thing is me following the nudge, the whisper to call the St. Jude's home, call the schools and say, can I come and talk to you about it? And here we are, overcoming that fear and going in and that seeing the beauty in this country through all of the challenges and being able to give back. Because the reason I came back, of course, I was pushed by the force, by the source, by God. But I didn't realize it at the time. They told me, go home, madam, go home. You have something to do at home. And what are you talking about? I have no job. I was fired. I was on the papers. I was on the papers here, like fired, right? So how can I go home and there's something for me to do home? People don't want me at home. And I came back and I've been here since.
Wow. And not just been here since, you've been here making a positive difference, in the lives of others. And I mean, each of us here, can attest at some way, in some form or format, that's why we're here, to be able to help others to have some positive moments. And I mean, everybody has a part to play. So what didn't work for you in corporate Trinidad at one point in time is now helping you at another end. I mean, for example, corporate Trinidad is funding this. Republic Bank, and be thankful to them. So somehow it all still comes together, but there has to be the right place in the circle, as you talk about the circle. And a circle doesn't have an end, it just begins again. So certainly this work that you're doing there, I know is going to leave a legacy. And I'm thinking of, just as you talk about maybe having how you have the mentors come back and share, but you could imagine after 4, all it takes after 4 is another 4 to get 44. So that 44 young ladies that may go through the program who are at St. Jude's, those 44 young ladies have a chance of coming back, and then 104, just one of them now, just add one to that, that's 144. So then there's 144 lives and families maybe in the future being affected. I mean, this is a Positive Moments family here, and certainly you're impacting us. I know Andrew's going to be impacted because you're back home, he's back, or he's going to leave pretty soon again to go back in some part of the world. But I'm sure that the stories that you would have shared here are things that would impact him on his story. Maybe when he goes and, he goes off to the Olympics and he goes to, to Japan, and then you see all of a sudden the circle close. And he said, okay, I'm close because maybe I didn't have my Japanese name. Maybe I didn't have my, maybe. But that's certainly going to be special. I'm sure those who are looking on have certainly learned a thing or two, have learned to appreciate, and let's not be judgmental, because we hear a young lady in society comes from St. Jude's home, and then we immediately start to we're thinking about, what did that young lady do? And hello, more importantly now, we should be asking, what can that young lady do? What can we offer her as an opportunity to have another positive moment, or have a positive moment in her life?
Yes, that really is beautiful. And as we get ready to wrap up, I just want to, say, to open up. It's very, very hard, but it's possible. It's actually not only possible, it's opening up the right way and the right person is way more beneficial. There are endless people who are just closed. I actually sit with people. I was sitting with one lady this morning who was sharing a very tragic story with me. She said, Andrew, you're the first person I've ever told this to. Ever. It happened to her when she was 5, and she's now 55. This is very, very powerful, and you would cross many, many paths like this in the home, fortunately at much younger ages. But for you to come here and share your story with us, talk about, the closed circle, that was very, very powerful for me, and all the work you continue to do. We just want to say thank you very much for, listening to the circle, listening to life, listening to the movement, listening to God, listening to the power, and letting it take you where your heart is belonging. I hear you talk about you taking the girls sometimes to nature and yoga and these kind of things, these very pure aspects of what we have here on earth. So just a massive thank you. I'll let Don close it. But before we close, I want you to just send a message home, to to all the girls, and there anybody listening, girls, boys, grannies, grandpas, anybody of, not because something happens to somebody and they end up in a home or wherever they do, maybe there's a reason to not help or look down.
Now, I would like to say that every one of us, we go through an experience for a reason. It might sound cliche, but we don't get to see it right away. But know that the dots connect, and at some point you'll be able to use that experience to make the world a better place once you're open to listening to the guidance.
Wow. Well, I'm listening to you there, and you're talking about the dots connecting, and that dots, DOTS. There's something that you can do, and there's a point that you have to get to, and that point is S, where you're able to experience the success that is there for you and for me. This is Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. This has been episode number 7, and let me tell you, after 7, well, they say heaven, but after 7, there's a lot more to come on Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. Do visit our YouTube channel, Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. Season 1, we have 16 webinars there. Season 2, who knows, you might get 20 of these episodes. So please do visit Positive Moments with Andrew and Don, but we're not done. We're just going to come back again, maybe with the rain or the sun. No, I just made that up. But let me just tell you, we're here to have some fun. That's what Positive Moments is all about. Thank you. See you again on another episode of Positive Moments with Andrew. Well, hopefully we'll have a Kuswa back again, right? And Don. Hey, catch you again.